Good evening, everyone, or should I say good morning or good afternoon. From whatever time zone you're joining, welcome to Ask Wortell. This is a live stream event we do around last week's Ignite, Microsoft Ignite event. And we'll be focusing tonight on Microsoft Teams, around Microsoft Fifa, and we have some updates around Azure. A lot around the Azure infrastructure. My name is Robert Schouten. I'm a lead developer for the Microsoft 365 platform at Wortell, and next to that, I'm an MVP on the Office and Apps and Services category. Tonight, I'm joined with Ronald Buys and Maurice Jong. Good evening,
Good evening.
guys. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes. Well, my name is Ronald Buys. I'm a Azure Cloud specialist working at Wortell, mostly active in the Azure infrastructure and also Azure DevOps. And yeah, well, tonight with Robert, I will share our thoughts about Ignite, and also I will discuss some updates around Azure infrastructure.
Great. And Maurice, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Robert. I'm Maurice de Jong. I'm a developer at Wortell. And tonight I will handle the questions from YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, over to our experts of today. And you can send in your questions using hashtag AskWortell on Twitter, or if you prefer here on LinkedIn, or even on YouTube. Okay, at the end of the show, we will pick one of our questioners as our winner. And again, that will be the winner of the amazing prize of 50 euros Amazon gift card.
Great. That sounds like a nice giveaway. That's good to win. So keep coming with your questions for tonight. Before we start off with the Ignite updates, let's discuss a little bit, what you found from the event from last week. Ronald, can you share some insights into that?
Yeah, of course. Well, I followed Ignite this year as well. Well, as you did, Robert, and we discussed it this week. And yeah, well, it kind of let me down in the way of Azure infrastructure because I was hoping for some big announcements. But yeah, you're seeing that they're shifting towards more regular updates between the months and more updates over the year. So, well, most of the updates coming from Ignite were not so new for me because I was already expecting some updates around Azure infrastructure, and those updates were about some components or features going from preview mode to GA. But yeah, I've missed some big announcements. So yeah, I don't know how. Did you experience this event from your perspective?
Yeah, I can relate to that. You see, Microsoft is shifting a little bit towards more regular updates through the year. I think especially because we're not in-person events, that's not possible at the moment. So yeah, we need to look into, how can we bring those updates to the people? You cannot always have very long, in-depth talks or sessions for people. So yeah, I think that they're trying to do their best to bring it to us. And yeah, a lot of things were already there. For instance, the Microsoft Fifa, which was already announced just before Ignite itself. Satya did already a special event around that. So people were already a little bit familiar with, what is it? And Ignite was going a little bit deeper into the insights. What is it then? And yeah, so A little bit disappointed I was, but I'm also getting used to it because it's the way we see it in the last few half year, I guess. And next to that, the keynote was great. I think it was really good. It wasn't around Microsoft Teams a lot, or they picked another topic, and this year was around artificial intelligence and HoloLens 2, new options around that, and I think it was a little bit too long, but yeah, it was a nice way to see all those new innovations around that too, I guess.
Yeah, and well, for us engineers, of course, well, we can be disappointed, but there are many people out there who aren't aware of all those updates because, yeah, for us, it's kind of our jobs. We're going day in, day out, and looking at the news, looking at updates. So for us, yeah, well, it's perhaps a disappointment, but for other people, yeah, it could be something new. What we will share today, of course.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's why we picked some great updates for tonight. And I think let's start off with the first update.
Perfect.
Okay, begin of February, Microsoft introduced Microsoft Viva. They really set it as an employee experience platform, EXP. It's setting the person, the employee, in the middle, in the center. So because we're working lots more disconnected, and as Microsoft is also telling us, and we are seeing a lot of customers and clients saying that too, okay, we're going to a hybrid way of working in the future, in the near future, when we can come back to the offices. So we need certain ways to be sure everyone is doing okay, inform everyone in a good way, and that's where Microsoft is investing at this point with Microsoft Viva, putting the employee in the center and make them more productive and easier in their wayfinding in all the apps they're using within the Microsoft 365 platform. But next to that, also with connectors, etc., to other applications or information they're using outside of Microsoft 365. Microsoft Viva is around 4 pillars. It's around connections, insights, learning, and topics. And so with the connections, we are able to bring our portal, our intranet, or how will you call it? Some companies call it an intranet. Some people call it a portal, a social intranet. But with Microsoft Viva Connections, you're able to bring that part to Microsoft Teams. So there will be a special app for that to be able to start off with your intranet or your portal within Microsoft Teams. That way, Microsoft is bringing it to Microsoft Teams, but also to the mobile clients. And I think that's a really nice addition. If you see how people are going to access the intranet at the moment, you should get your browser on your mobile or on your iPad or whatever device you're using. That's always a little bit difficult to use. You should log in again, etc. If you use Microsoft Teams from the mobile client, you can really start off getting the news and get involved in all the discussions which are maybe on Jammer or other platforms which you incorporate in your intranet. So that way, Microsoft is really pooling that to Microsoft Teams, and also people who are not always behind the desk are able to get that culture and information which is needed for them to be involved within the company to them. So I think that's a really nice addition there. I've did a dev kitchen with Microsoft 2 weeks ago around Microsoft Viva connections, and we are also able to extend parts of that. I can't really say too much around it because it's all NDA information, but we can extend parts of the connections too, and so I'm really excited for the move to that in the near few months when that is coming out. So I'm really thrilled, to help people and companies with that part. Next to this, there's coming Insights. Insights is mostly based on the workplace analytics part within the Microsoft 365 platform. That's a paid add-on. You should have licenses for that. But there's also coming a free part within the Insights, and that's the personal insights part. And next to the personal insights, you will also get team insights. So, for instance, managers can get information. Okay, how are things going with my team? Are people saying, okay, I'm not that really satisfied at the moment? They're getting options for that. Things like Headspace, which was introduced last year at Ignite. That's also coming in as an option. So you get a lot of information around yourself, how you're feeling, but also around mindfulness, getting focus time within your workday. That's all parts of Microsoft Insights. And one of the things I really like is they call it something like the commute end your day part. So at the end of your day, you can say, okay, let's check what my to-dos were. Did I finish everything? But also maybe I should really focus around, okay, how was my day and what's coming tomorrow? Do I have a lot of meetings, or should I add some focus time to that, etc.? And I think that's a really good addition to get to your next day, etc. Around that. So that's some really nice things. There also is going to be organizational part where you can see over the teams itself how things are going. So that's really exciting too around that. And the learning part within Microsoft Viva, that's going to be a way to bring in external learning platforms like Microsoft Learn, LinkedIn Learning, but also Pluralsight and some other vendors and partners were introduced during Ignite. So that's really nice. We can bring those platforms in and make it possible for people or teams to create learning and bring that to the people itself, but also bring that back to the connection side. Okay, have you done some learning in the last few months? Maybe it's a good way to do it. Get insights around that too. So all these pillars are going to be connected with each other too. So I think that's a really nice thing to have. Get that to the people too. And the last pillar is around topics, which is incorporated from the Microsoft Cortex project, and that's all around knowledge and expertise. It's all artificial intelligence based, so in the background, the AI part of Microsoft 365 and the Microsoft Graph is going to find topics within your company and gather all documents, people, meetings, chats around a certain topic, and create a standard topic page for it. And in that way, you don't have to create those topic pages, but it's getting created for you. And you can curate that as an administrator or as a role within the company. And so you could bring that expertise to your employees so they can find it through a dashboard within the topics, Viva topics pillar. And that way people can search and find expertise. But also if some topics are getting written about in an Outlook email or in a message within Microsoft Teams chat, for instance, and you see that a topic, the name of the topic, it will create a Wikipedia page kind of link of it, and if you hover it or click on it, a topic card will be displayed with more information about it. So if you're new to the company, for instance, and there are some kind of acronyms within your company which are not well known for you at that moment, that way it's getting to you. So if you read something on the intranet and on a SharePoint page, you get the Wikipedia link automatically there, and you can find more information, who are the experts around that topic, etc. So that's a really nice thing to have that. We at Wortell created a series of videos and blog posts around Microsoft Viva. So I would like to encourage you to go into that. You can see it on the slide. There's more info at our website. Be aware it's all in Dutch at this moment, so be aware about that. But you can find a lot of more information, in-depth information around that there. Okay, Maurice, are there questions or something? Or
Yes,
Ronald, do you have some insights or questions around it? What do you think about it?
Okay,
Well,
first,
yeah, go ahead.
are we going to go to the questions? Yes. Okay. There's a question from Friso. That's a colleague of us, and he asks, "Do you think that connections will be replacing an intranet?" Sorry, of course.
That's a good question. I get it more often when I speak to people around Microsoft Viva. I think it's not replacing your intranet, but it's a new way of getting to your intranet. So you can still use your browser to get to it, but if you work a lot within Microsoft Teams, for instance, then it's an easy way to use Viva connections to get to that. But there are more ways to get to your portal. So it's not replacing it. It's more around, okay, getting you more productive and getting that information, which is important for the information people, for your communication maybe is sending within the organization to get it to you, and not really replacing something now.
All right. Okay. Maybe first something from Ronald, or do you want to discuss? I have another question, but you can first go to Ronald if you want.
Yeah, perhaps I can ask a question first, indeed, around the learning part. Because the learning part, for instance, when I want to, train or tell my colleagues about, what we're doing as a team, and I want to teach them about something, does the learning part provide me with the necessary tools or the platform to, to create those, let's say, video instructions or other documentation, just to train or instruct my colleagues how we're doing some stuff like infrastructure as code or building some templates. Well, how about that?
Yeah, you can import also your own learnings. So if you have a lot of materials yourself, videos or maybe PowerPoint presentations or something around that, then you can incorporate that within Viva Learning. So that's one. There's a sort of a dashboard where you can find everything, but there's also a Teams tab option, which you could add to your team. And then you could really say, okay, I want to pick this learning, this video, etc., and really make it fit to your team at that moment, which learnings they have to do, for instance. And you could also get some insights. Okay, how is everyone doing with the learnings? How far is everyone, etc. So you have some reporting around it too.
Nice. Wow,
Does that
great.
answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I will look into it as soon as I can get my hands on it. So yeah, well, good answer. Thanks.
Great. And Maurice, are there
Okay.
any other questions from the audience?
Yes, we have. Yeah, there's another question from this time from Egeltje55. Is Viva already within, I think, available within Microsoft Teams?
Yeah, there are some parts already available. For instance, the topics parts, that pillar is already available. You should have a license for it, so it's an add-on license within Microsoft 365. So if you have E3 or E5 or whatever license you have now, you can buy an add-on for that one. The Insights app is at this moment already available. So if you go to the apps to install within Microsoft Teams, you can already get it. And you can also already look into your company. Okay, is this an allowed app at the moment, or will I hold it back for a little bit? And you can also set up policies, etc., within your company to push it to certain groups of people if you want, and if you want to maybe pilot something, etc. The connections part is G8 last week at Ignite. So they're rolling it out at the moment. So we can expect it, let's say this month, maybe next month, to be available within Microsoft Teams. And the learning one, that's going to be a private preview within April. And then it will come in the around the year, later in the calendar of this year. And also around the licensing part, Microsoft didn't really say, okay, what are the costs or what is available within the default licenses, etc. So that's not announced yet. The connections part is available for everyone with Microsoft 365 or Office 365 licenses. So that's all in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's another question from Egeltje55. Does that also search in private messages? I'm not sure about the context of this question. I think it relates to what you were discussing earlier. Maybe you can recall.
I can go into that a little bit deeper. If you look into the insights, or if you go into the topics, the AI part, which is gathering all that information, if it's a private chat, for instance, then only the people within that chat are able to see it. Or if documents are exchanged within that chat, only those documents are available to those people. So all things are security trimmed, and all the compliance rulings and security around everything in Microsoft 365 is there. So nothing will be exposed if you don't have authorizations not do it. So yeah. So it maybe can search within private stuff as the AI stuff, but it won't expose it. No.
All right. Then there's a question from Peter Usmani. What is the pricing of the various Viva teams, and which license do you need at least to use them?
Yeah, I think I already discussed it just a little bit with all the time frames and when things are coming. So the connections part is all in, so no extra licenses. The topics is the extra add-on. For insights, the personal stuff, that's all in, but the team and the organization views, that's an add-on with Workplace Analytics, which is already an add-on at the moment. So if you have that already in place, then you also get the other parts within Insights. And for learning, that's coming later this year with more information around that. That's not announced yet.
Okay, cool. Well, that's it for this moment.
Okay, great.
There aren't any other questions at the moment, so please continue.
Yes, then we're going to the Microsoft Teams part. I have some announcements which are done around Ignite for Teams. And one of my favorites is Microsoft Teams Connect. And Microsoft Teams Connect will enable you to create shared channels. And not only shared channels, more around that, but I will come into that a little bit later. So at the moment, when you are in Teams and want to create a channel, you are able to create a normal channel, which is available for everyone within the team. You're also able to create a private channel, which is only available for the people you pick within your team, so to a certain group within the team. And with Microsoft Teams Connect, Microsoft is introducing shared channels, and with shared channels, you are able to also invite people or also teams outside of your team. So people who are not in your team at the moment, you can invite those people to the shared channel, and that shared channel is only available and visible to them. It will be visible with a certain icon, which you can also see in the screencast you're seeing here. The shared channel itself, so for instance, a good example where you can use things like this is maybe if you're having a team at the moment and you want to invite some external users, maybe a partner or a client, etc., and you want to collaborate with them. At the moment, you should really invite them as a guest user for your team, and they're able to view everything. And if you only want to collaborate on a small part, then you maybe don't want them to give access to the whole team. And with the shared channels, you're able to invite them, and they're not able to see the rest of the team. And the nice part is if that external user is at their channel in their own tenant, they will be able to see the team name and the shared channel underneath it, and they don't have to switch to to your tenant to be able to view the shared channel, so they can stay in their own tenant and be able to collaborate from within their own tenant, and that's a really nice addition. I'm with a lot of clients in a lot of different tenants at the moment, and I really have to switch a lot if I'm working with other people externally, etc. So I think this is a really nice and good option to have that possibility also on that part, but also not being able to have to share the whole team to certain people, which yeah, doesn't make sense in all situations. And what other people sometimes do is, okay, they create a second team next to it to incorporate that functionality or scenario. So I think this is really solving those kind of problems. The other part is you can also invite a whole team from another tenant. Or a team within your company, for instance. So if you're having different teams or departments within your company, and within your team you also want to have some collaboration with a small team or an external team, you can also invite that team to your shared channel, and that way you're able to collaborate with them. And if people are added to that team later on, they also automatically have that shared channel with them. So that's a really nice addition there. It's in private preview at the moment, and it will be available later this year, around June, they've announced. So I'm really excited for this part to be coming to Microsoft Teams. Next is a new addition to Microsoft Teams meetings, and that's called presenter mode. With presenter mode, you're able, as a presenter within a meeting, to really stand out or present yourself in other ways than we're used at the moment. At the moment, we are in a square, are visible in a square in the right hand corner of the meeting, and yeah, that's not really a nice visible way of presenting yourself. So with the presenter mode, you're able to say, okay, I want to be in front of the screen I'm sharing at that moment. Another way is to be able to have a reporter view, and then you're behind the presentation itself. It's coming above your shoulder, and there's also a side-by-side way of presenting it. And yeah, I think these options, these three ways of presenting your presentation to your audience is really more appealing and a nice way to getting better presentations. Of course, the information you're telling is also important, but I think being able to being more appealing in this way stands out a little bit more. So I think it's a really nice addition. It will be available soon. That's what mentioned. So I think it will be this month or next month available if we look at the roadmap, Microsoft 365 roadmap at the moment. So I'm really excited to be able to use this within the presentations. Ooh, sorry about it. Let's see. My last one. Oh, I see I have a glitch here with the title. The last one is not also presenter mode, but that's PowerPoint Live. That's the last announcement I will present for now around Teams. PowerPoint Live is an option to share a PowerPoint deck, and when you're sharing that, only your slide is available to the attendees of the meeting. So that's the red square you're seeing visible at there. But you as a presenter can see the whole deck with the notes and the slides. But you can also switch on the chat or the people within the meeting, so you can see their faces too. So you can see, okay, how are they reacting to you at that moment, etc. And especially if you have a one screen at that moment available, and not a second screen, this is really going to help people. Maybe they're at home and not able to have two screens or something. This is going to help them to give better presentations and have a better overview. Okay, what's my next slide? What are the notes in there, etc. So I think that's really nice to have this kind of options with your meeting and sharing options. So that's it for the Microsoft Teams update. What do you think, Ronald, of these new updates?
Well, I'm glad I don't have to wait for someone saying, well, somebody raised his hand. You've got to wait. You have to answer this question. I found that really annoying for a long time, but they fixed that, because that was becoming a real pain.
Yeah, you mean if you're presenting, then you're not able to see the hand at that moment because you're seeing the whole presentation in front of your screen and don't see the hands, etc. Yeah.
Indeed,
That's
because when you're having two screens, because two screens is a nice addition, and then you're solving or have a workaround. But now they fixed it within Teams itself, so that's a great feature. I'm really glad they did.
Yeah, good to hear. Great. And any other thoughts on the other options? On the other?
Well, I'm glad they've. Well, I'm glad they introduced shared channels, because, well, when you're in your own Teams application and, well, you have to switch between companies or you have to look for some information, well, that's going to be on a whole other level right now. That's going to be more, well, user-friendly. That's the word what I was looking for. It's got to be user-friendly from now on. Maurice is laughing. He knows about the pain as well.
I think it's a real game changer. It really
is.
Yeah. If you see how much I switch to other tenants, and it's
missing other messages by that.
Yeah. Your colleague is getting angry about you. Well, you're not responding.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, but is other questions?
Yes, that's what I wanted to mention. We aren't missing any questions now. Yes, the next question is from Jeroen Niesen, and he asks, what about these guest accounts? Is Microsoft migrating away from them? So the guest accounts that appear in your AD tenant, I guess.
Yeah, I think I understand what he's pointing at. The question, of course, is if we are having shared channels and you're able to view those shared channels from within your own tenant, are you then a guest user or an external user? So that's a good point he's aiming there, because you're not a guest user at that moment anymore. So when you're invited to a shared channel, you're not invited as a guest user within the AAD tenant, which you were invited to. So yes, it will solve a little bit that noise which is getting into the AAD with all those guest accounts. If you getting added to a team, you will be added as a guest. But if you're added as into a shared channel, it won't be, and it will be federated. So then you're a federated user, and you can just access the channel as you would access your own other channels within your own teams in your tenant. It won't get away of all those external or that guest user accounts within your tenant. You still need to do stuff around that, some management around that. And within the AAD, you have some access request review options for that. And Microsoft also announced an addition to that at Ignite for Microsoft Teams to be able to review those guest user accounts within your team. So you get notified, okay, you have guest users within your team. Are they still needed or not? Or shall we remove them? And then you can automatically be able to remove them and get rid of them and clean up also stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that
Nice.
answers Jeroen's question.
Probably, yes. I think that was my question too. All those guest accounts. What's going to happen with them? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
but some great solutions for it. Okay, cool. There's another question from Egeltje55. Are those new Teams options available for every Teams call or only special Teams events?
They're available for the default team meetings. So not for live events, but for the team meetings. So the default team meetings. So you have two kind of meetings. You have the live events and the team meetings. So it's available for the team meetings. Good question. Yeah.
All right. And there's another question. It's from Martijn Takken about the presenter mode. If there's a dev interpreter in the call, now there is no option to see both the presentation as well. Oh, maybe I'm missing something out. As well as the dev interpreter. Is it possible? Is this a possible solution? Is there a possible solution for that? Sorry.
Well, not directly with the presenter mode, I think. But there are options to incorporate meeting apps. So if as a partner of Microsoft for those kind of solutions, you are able to incorporate that with meeting apps at the moment. So in that way, you could really get that sort of functionality into your meetings. But no, not really with the presenter mode itself. No, it won't help to that.
All right. Okay. And there's another question from Peter Usmani. When will there be an update on collaborative calling so that you can add a calling queue to a Teams channel? So add a calling queue to a Teams channel.
That's other question, but last September at Ignite they announced that feature, and I'm not quite sure if it's already available. So I think it's a good one to get into the roadmap, the Microsoft 365 roadmap, and search for that option, because it was announced last September to add call queues to your team. And in that way, you're really able to, for instance, if you're a help desk team or something, get that call queue within your team and being able to say, oh, who's the operator for my team at the moment, who can get calls, etc. And then you have a nice overview with all the calls which are raised within your team. So for that queue. So yeah, it's already announced, but I'm not really sure when at this moment. No.
Okay. Yeah, clear. Yeah, that's it for now for the questions.
Yeah, great.
So,
Yeah, I'm not sure if there are other things, Ronald. Otherwise, I think we can get to your part with the Azure infrastructure.
Yeah, well, my only point was I'm glad the raising hand issue isn't there anymore. So no, I think
Great,
we
great.
can. Yeah, I think we can continue right now to Azure infrastructure. And as I mentioned, there wasn't that that sort of big announcement, but there were some things announced going from preview to GA, and I'm gonna uh, take you through some slides and tell you about some of the announcements from preview to GA. And well, we'll start off with some with one preview to GA point, and well, we're going to talk about a bit of the history of this one. And well, let's start with Azure Stack HCI. Well, this is not something announced at Ignite, but I want to point it out just to get a clear understanding of the next slide. What is announced at Ignite this year? Well, going hybrid with the cloud, but with your own hardware. That's something the Azure Stack HCI is providing you. And well, there are selected hardware vendors making this possible, so you can grab your own hardware, build your own server rack, for instance, and still use that power within Azure, use the features and management capabilities within the Azure platform. Well, and this is based on the x86 architecture, so no change there. And as I mentioned, you can use the Azure Cloud, which extends the title of this slide as well, the evolving hybrid cloud. We're seeing the hybrid cloud is evolving and keeps getting better, better, and better. And this has been already there, but well, there was something wasn't there until well this Ignite, and that's something within Azure Arc. Well, Azure Arc extends the management capabilities of Azure to not just the cloud, but also to data centers where you have your own hardware, where you got your servers, and you still want to use that Azure cloud. Well, one particular component just got the GA at this Ignite, and that's about Kubernetes. Well, Kubernetes support for Azure Arc is now GA, and well, they're still evolving this hybrid cloud, and by adding Kubernetes support within Azure Arc, extends and makes the whole hybrid cloud more of a total product. So leveraging Kubernetes and well, enabling it within Azure Arc gives you the ability to manage your resources, whether there is it in the data center or it is in the cloud. It doesn't matter. Azure Arc provides you with the tool to well uh, manage your infrastructure. So just for a understanding, Azure Arc multi-cloud. So well, you can not only use it on Azure, but you can also leverage to another platform. And well, it also supports on-premises, which we talked about just a minute ago. Data centers, you got your own hardware. You can still use those Azure management capabilities, and that's where Azure Arc comes in. And now you can use it with Kubernetes as well. And what we're seeing here is within the evolving hybrid cloud, well, from Azure Migrate, no new update, but just to point it out, as you can see, the hybrid cloud is evolving. It's getting bigger and bigger. And it means that there are more and more scenarios popping up, making more scenarios possible, because you don't have to migrate all the time. In some cases, for instance, for the government, well, where data is a major priority, you can leverage, well, with Azure Stack HCI and Azure Arc, you can leverage those environments and make them more modern, and still be able to use those Azure management capabilities. So, well, Azure Migrate is something that is on the table, something that's working. But as you can see, with the announcement of Kubernetes support for Azure Arc, well, it's evolving, and you don't always have to migrate. You can still use both on-premises and cloud, and with the cloud capabilities within Azure. And last but not least, something already announced before, but it's still evolving, and they had a update at this Ignite as well, is the VMware Cloud solution, where you can, well, still use your VMware virtualization platform, but then within Azure. And at this stage, well, at Ignite, one of the important updates for me was the backup and site recovery. What they are still developing on that and improving it. So at that VMware solution, you can also use the same backup and site recovery within Azure, together with the VMware Cloud solution. So, well, then we're going to some stuff which, well, I was really excited about, because I've been waiting for this a really long time. Windows Admin Center already there for, well, a couple of, not years, because it isn't that long there, but it is there for a couple of time. And Windows Admin Center enables you to, well, manage your infrastructure components like virtual machines. And what we see in Windows Admin Center, it's not only for enterprise environments, but it's also there for the small environments. It comes with the Windows operating system for Windows Server. And what you can do is install Windows Admin Center and use the web portal it gives you with the tools it provides to manage and make management of virtual machines and servers much more easier than it was before. So it is an extension of how you're used to manage your virtual machines before, like AirSort tools, something you can use from the Windows Admin Center, remote desktop, same thing. And let's point out some more from Windows Admin Center, which you can use from Windows Admin Center itself, because you can manage virtual machines and clusters from a single portal. You can also make this Windows Admin Center publicly available over the internet, or so you can create a single instance of Windows Admin Center and manage those virtual machines and servers all across different environments, whether it be cloud or on premises in a data center, for instance. You can manage your certificates, which is a really nice feature. You can just click on a virtual machine, let's say a web server installed with IIS, and look at it. You can see just the certificates right there, which are going to be expire or not, and you can manage it just from this single portal. Well, remote desktop, great feature. Don't have to exploit the port anymore, 3389, to the internet, to the internal network. You can just use it from the Windows Admin Center portal. Update management, well, this one is pointed out to the Azure Update Management, because Windows Admin Center is using the same solution within Azure, and well, within the portal it's called Update Management, but in the background it's Azure Update Management, which you can patch and update your service all the way. Network monitoring gives you some insights whether something goes wrong, or you can see well, how much bandwidth is used. It gives you some insights regarding metrics. It's proxy enabled, as I mentioned. You can put it on the internet, make it available through or across different environments. And well, this is something I've been waiting for a very long time. It's getting integrated in Azure itself. So I got an Azure virtual machine, and finally I can just use Windows Admin Center within my own Azure portal. Before, we've tried several things within the preview just to make it work, but it wasn't supported yet. But now they're integrating it within the Azure portal, and you can use Windows Admin Center on a virtual machine, use all those features I just mentioned and more. You can restart services, look at the event viewer, use Azure Monitor or Azure Security Center, because also there the hybrid cloud is a is there. You can see it in Windows Admin Center. So they're extending those management capabilities of Azure also to Windows Admin Center. And of course, we're happy that finally Backup Center is going from preview to GA. And its support goes by Azure Virtual Machines, Azure Virtual Machines with SQL, Azure Files, and an old solution, HANA. We didn't encounter it before, but perhaps someone did. And well, just so you know, it's supported within Backup Center. And what it does, it centralizes all those backup faults and and giving you just a single portal to have a look at what backups do I have, where are they, which schedules do I have, is everything backup what I want to backup, does it meet my compliancy, and does it meet my policy which I just entered. So all of those features are within Backup Center. And for us, it makes it just more easier, because when you're managing multiple customers, Backup Center gives you just the ability to centralize that single view you just want over all of your backups over those different customers, just to see, okay, are backups running as intended? Are they fine? And we can also test them just centrally. We can sandbox a backup and test it. For instance, you can use Azure DevOps to test a backup, put it in a sandbox, and see if it's working. Because just starting a backup and seeing it completed doesn't mean it always works. And with Azure DevOps, you can just leverage those testing as well. Well, we're really happy that Backup Center is finally here and it's GA, so we're going to make use of that, pretty much. So the next server operating system, they've talked about we're not going to do versioning and we're not going to do naming about Windows Server, because, we're just going to update it. We got a version on it. And they still came up with Windows Server 2022. And some slight changes, not the biggest, but something to mention is secured core server, which is by default secured with TPM at the hardware level. So the core server is secured by default at the hardware level with the TPM chip, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. And also it's extending with Azure Arc, so it brings more capabilities to Windows Server OS. It already is there, but Azure Arc makes advantage of Windows Server 2022. And of course, one thing to point out to is, within Windows Server 2022, they get increased seamless connectivity for file shares. So file servers, especially for file migrations, they've improved the connectivity part of that, so that you can smoothly go into a file migration and make use of that seamless connectivity they've enhanced within Windows Server 2022. So I'm basically, that was the most important from my end, which I found important for me, but there's also more at this Ignite. And we're just going to sum up with some one-liners, which also announcements at this Ignite. So they also announced Azure Central receives 30 new built-in connectors, which is a great extension and expanding that product from a security perspective. Azure Machine Learning gets role-based access support, which wasn't there before. Something new, Azure Resource Mover. Of course, we're familiar with moving resources from resource group to resource group or from subscription to subscription, but that's not what Azure Resource Mover is. Azure Resource Mover is, well, when Azure gets a new data center, and it just happened, they've announced a new data center in Asia, and when you want to move to that data center, well, there comes Azure Resource Mover. So I got a web application, I want to move it. Normally you should look at the requirements. Can my resource be moved? If it cannot be moved, what do I need to do? Well, Azure Resource Mover takes all of these actions and checks whether it's possible or not and what you need to do. So it automates the movement of your resource from data center A to data center B. The private Azure Marketplace, just quite simple. You got a solution, you just create it or you publish it on the Azure Marketplace. Well, you can now create your own private Azure Marketplace with your own solutions and select which customer or vendor can make use of that solution on the Azure Marketplace. This is something, well, which is great. Azure Monitor for Windows Virtual Desktop, which leverage the monitoring capabilities within Azure. It wasn't there yet, but it will be there soon. Azure Networking Express Route Portal, something I haven't seen before. It will leverage also the insights about the express route circuit. So that means connections from Azure to, let's say, the office building in Amsterdam through an express route connection. And when you have multiple connections with this portal, you can see all those connections within the same portal and give you some more insights. What's going on? Give me some metrics. You can also monitor some stuff on it, and it gives you some more insights about how your express route is performing. Well, Azure Network Routing Prevents, they're finally giving you the ability just to, well, say, I want to, I got a virtual machine. I want it to be able to communicate through the Azure firewall or to the internet, but now I can say which preference I want on that virtual machine on a routing perspective. So I want this virtual machine to go left or to go right. I can now give it a preference I want it to. Yeah, and something which wasn't possible before, but from Azure Networking, a public IP from the basic SKU, you can now upgrade it to the standard SKU, which wasn't possible before, but now is. And I think this is something to mention from Azure Active Directory. They are supporting header-based authentication for your Azure Application Proxy, which wasn't available before, but, well, is right now. So, yeah, well, in the end, small announcements, some bigger than the other, but I think overall they've done a pretty good job, and they will keep improving the Azure platform as well. So, well, more is coming, of course, but these were the most important announcements within Ignite this year. Yeah, and well, that's about it for now.
Really
I
great,
think we got
Ronald. Yes.
Yeah, I want to ask, well, Robert, Maurice, perhaps some questions from the public. Or Robert, you want to ask me something about this?
Yeah, not really a question, but more an observation I'm seeing from within Microsoft. If you look at the workplace, that part, we're heading to the hybrid workplace. People will be working in a hybrid workplace, but that's also the same part for the backend. You will be more and more able to have a hybrid Azure Cloud. I'm really interested in that part for having your own data centers being able to be part of the Azure platform. Are you then really able to have a data center with Azure and have also connections to the cloud, so you can really have that hybrid connection. Maybe that's
Yeah.
a little, because I can see that within certain companies or scenarios where you can't leverage everything into the cloud. That's really a nice option, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And well, in let's say about performance, for instance, when you got that hybrid cloud and you got that well, I got my own workspace right here, and as soon as I'm accessing a file share residing in the data center, well, connectivity isn't that big of an issue, because when you're using something like an express route, latency is not an issue at all. People can just use and work on that file share as intended, because the backend and with the hybrid cloud, it makes it possible. So latency, for instance, shouldn't be a problem. They can just use it as they were used to before. And the hybrid cloud, indeed, good point right there. It makes more businesses can make use of the cloud instead of holding on to that data center. For instance, I mentioned the government. Data is a big subject right there, and well, maybe this can break some subject on that, and leveraging that hybrid cloud and still have the data in the Netherlands, for instance, and then you can use those management capabilities from Azure. So that's a really nice thing, and that scenario is possible. So it's right there.
Great. Maurice, are there some audience questions?
Yes, there are. The first one is from Friso Visser. How do you use Windows Admin Center for your customers?
Well, Windows Admin Center right now, since it's gone GA, well, we've been working on it, of course, but we're extending it to our customers pretty soon, and then we'll use it from a automatic deployment. So we are leveraging virtual machines from Azure DevOps and automation, and then what you see is that we're enabling a Windows Admin Center at our customers, and we can also shut down, for instance, IP whitelists. We're having remote desktop from Windows Admin Center. So get rid of those ports that are open to the internet through an IP whitelist, and use modern technology like Windows Admin Center and the remote desktop feature for our customers.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I have another question from Egeltje55. Is Azure Resource Mover, can you use it for all resource types?
Yeah, great question. And I must be really honest with this one, because since it's so new, I haven't tried it out before. But from my experience, moving resources, not each and every resource type is compatible with a movement. So in theory, when you're moving a express route, then there's also a third party coming in this sort of movement, because the third party, let's say an internet service provider, also needs to move this express route connection. I guess with Azure Resource Mover, those scenarios stays the same. They won't change, because you're still needing those internet service providers to move those resources. So I think that will be the same, but which ones, I cannot tell you exactly.
All right. There's another question from Jeroen Niese, and he asks, is the private Azure Marketplace part of Azure Lighthouse?
Yeah, great question. Well, if you're looking at Azure Lighthouse, and then you're leveraging your own published solution to the customers, and yes, of course, you can use it for Azure Lighthouse as well. So the only change here is that your solution from the Azure Private Marketplace needs to be shared with that customer. So you must imagine you're sharing it with a tenant within Azure, and then that particularly tenant gets access from their Azure Marketplace to that solution you've just shared with them. So, but yeah, from Azure Lighthouse, yeah, it's working as the same as the public Azure Marketplace, but only you have to share it right now.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for the questions at this moment.
Great.
So I think we can go further with announcement of the winner.
Yeah, well, maybe one thing first, Maurice. I got for Azure Live. Well, that's something we've just created. It's a platform, and well, yeah, there it is. Great, Azure Live. It's a platform, and well, we're creating a community with lots of experts, lots of technology, lots of updates on there. So if you want to be part of it, just register through the link, and perhaps you even win a VIP box. I can really recommend this because it's going to be cool. It's going to be great. So yeah, just go click that link and yeah, sign up for that VIP box.
Great.
And that will be it, Maurice.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Nice.
So do we have a winner?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, of course we have a winner. But first, I want to mention, if you are watching the recording of the show at this moment, please let me remind you that if you still have a question, you can still send it in using hashtag #AskWortell on Twitter, or find us on LinkedIn and get in touch, because our goal is to share with the community, and we can also do that after this live stream. Okay. So now for the winner of this live stream it's Egeltje 55. So Egeltje 55, can you please send a question to ask@wortell.nl, and then we will make sure that you will get your prize, of course, of the Amazon gift card. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. So I want to make sure that you get that message too. All right, I think that's it.
Yeah,
back to you.
I think that brings us to the end of this live stream. I want to thank everyone for their attendance. Ronald, for your great announcements around Ignite on the Azure platform for the infrastructure. Maurice for handling all those questions, etc., and everyone and the backend for helping out to bring this alive. So thank you.
Yeah, and Robert, thanks for telling us that. Well, I don't have to worry about raise a hand anymore again.
Great.
But also thanks for your presentation and your announcement. Great job.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we will share some extra links, etc., around the updates within the YouTube channel. I guess, Maurice, I think it's there.
Yeah, it's down here in the description of this video. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want more
below
information,
our like button, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you all, and see you next time at Ask Wortell.
Yes.
Great, thanks.
To the next.